Hi, everyone. It is Dr. Colleen Meyer with Meyer and Mintz LLC, bringing you another version of Fearless in Pink. And today we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. You're going to absolutely love her. Her name is Suzanne Sung. She is an internationally renowned New York bestseller. And her book is called 100 Days of Positivity, Hope, and Growth. She is the owner and host of the podcast, The Level Up Mindset. And she's going to talk to us a little bit about her self-discovery journey and her book and her podcast and all the wonderful things that she's doing. Welcome, Suzanne, to Fearless in Pink.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So tell us about your journey, because I know that your book is about helping people, 100 days to get people in the right mindset. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Sure. So I was born and bred in Scotland, and a few years back, I decided to move to Vancouver, which was amazing. And then I ended up deciding to move back to move in with a now ex-boyfriend down in England. So that kind of fell apart about 2 weeks before I was due to fly, which meant that my whole life was turned upside down, and I ended up back in Scotland, somewhere that I said I would never, ever come back to. I didn't want to come back. I wasn't happy. So that was quite a shock to the system, and it took me down a pretty low path. I just got to a point where I wasn't happy anymore. I was really unhappy, actually. I'd hit rock bottom, and I thought, where is my life going? I'm 20. Was I 20? No, that's a lie. I was like 33. I don't even know what age I was, 32 or 33. And I was back living at home. I had no job and I was single again. And I thought to myself, how has my life gotten back to this point again? The place that I never ever want to be, and it's worse than ever. So yeah, I find myself asking, what is the point in everything? And that was the moment when I realized that I should probably get some help to figure out what's going on inside that head of mine, because it wasn't healthy. And, I'm not ashamed to say, like, I just wished I wasn't here. I just wish that, life can be tough sometimes, and going through heartbreak and going through shocks of any kind can, trauma of any kind can really tear you down. So got through all that, went and found a hypnotherapist, and I worked on myself. And in that process, these books were born from my experience of the ups and downs of going through a self-discovery journey. And, there's so many positivity pushers out there that are like, just stay positive and you should be happy every day. And I'll be honest with you, that is just not realistic in the slightest. So these books are there to support people who are wanting to grow, wanting to work towards whatever goal they have. And they're there to support them on the days where they get setbacks, emotional or physical, or the days where you just don't feel like doing it, or the days where you just think, what am I doing? Like, I'm not good enough to do this. They're there to pick you up so that you will keep going, and so that you don't give into fear and give up on what you're working towards.
It's interesting you say that, because I think probably most women and men too have gone through that, where you're at a certain point in your life and you feel, and this could be young people too,
Yeah.
I'm talking, like you were saying 20, but you end up being in the 30s, but this does happen to people even in their teens, where it is, where am I going? What am I doing? And I've had that, where I've had to start over at a certain age, and you're like, okay, now what? I've come this far and now I'm here and I feel like I'm back to where I was before. And we want to beat ourselves up, and we do, some of us thinking about, and I have done this myself too, why am I even here? What am I contributing to society, or to my family? And it's those dark moments, but to say we have to be happy all the time and positive all the time, it's not realistic. And I think that a lot of people go through what you just shared and what I just shared. And for me, it was, my kids, my kids were my joy, and I pushed through that. But I think it's so important with that. No one's going to be happy all the time, and this, like you said, those dark days that creep in. When you have those dark days creep in for you, because they happen to all of us,
Mhm.
what does that look like? What is your process of, let's say a dark day is happening? How do you pull yourself out of that? What is your process and your thinking?
So it really depends on what kind of day it is. So if it's a day where I'm not feeling motivated,
Mm,
and there's so many things that we can do, but there's so many things we don't because there's lack of motivation. So if it's a motivational down day, then it's really about doing things to make me feel better. You're not motivated because maybe you've just woken up, you're still a bit tired, or you just can't be bothered. So when it's that and I'm procrastinating, what I tend to do is remove myself from my area. So a
mm,
really great way to become more motivated is to even just get out the house, just step out the front door. If you step out the front door into a new environment, into some fresh air, that might motivate you to go for a walk. Sometimes I can never be bothered working out, and I really want to do it and it feels great after I've done it, but having to do it can really be tough. But what I've learned from that is that every time I think like that, I also think back to a time when I did work out when I didn't feel like it, and I think of how great that felt, and that motivates me to go forward. So if it's motivation, that's what I do. If it is more emotional, as in I'm having a bit of self-doubt, I'm wondering whether everything I'm working towards is going to get anywhere, or if I'm going to ever meet the right guy. When it comes to things like that, then I kind of go within and I will read positivity books, or I will read things about manifestation, about law of attraction, and I'll also look for support from friends. So having a good support network and people that really care for you and aren't just your fair weather friends, so to speak, are what really makes a difference. And I guess in terms of the book, that is kind of like the friend that is there for you when you can't phone your friends at 5 in the morning because you have a question about what's going on in your life and you need that instant comfort and that instant kind of hug, that virtual or that physical hug kind of thing. That's what they're there for. So that's what I usually do.
it sounds like it's all about catching yourself in a certain mindset and changing it. Like you're
Yeah.
saying, thinking back about, remember when I worked out, that felt good.
Yeah.
And then thinking about, changing the way you're thinking at the moment. I had a friend of mine, he was married, he's still married, but I think at the time he was married for like, I don't know, 34, 35 years. And I said to him, how has it been being married all those years? And you're happily married. What's your secret? And he said, it's all right here.
Mm.
Every day I say, I love this woman. This woman is amazing. She's everything to me. And instead of saying, oh, she's irritating me, there's, clothes on the floor or whatever, um, he said he never did that. Or if he started to do that, he would change it to be, I love her. She's amazing. And he said, it starts right here. And it's the way we talk to ourselves. Do you
Yeah.
find that to be true for you too?
Absolutely. So what he's doing there is he is using affirmations. So affirmations have become really, really big. And the funny thing is we all use affirmations. We're just not aware of it. And depending on whether they're positive or negative, will then have an effect on your outcome. So an affirmation in its simplest form is a statement that you say that is true to you. So deep inside us, we've got self-limiting beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I'm a failure, I can't do it. When you believe in this, then what you do is you create situations where these things make your affirmation reality. So with your friend, by him affirming to himself, I love my wife, I'm so happy with her, he chose to focus on the good things that he loved about her. Because the more you focus, if he was just focusing on, oh my God, my wife's so messy, she doesn't ever do this, she doesn't support me, she doesn't do that, then he's got so much focus on it that the brain will actually, and this is proven, will filter out anything he's not focused on. and will then focus on the things that he's thinking about. So that's why when they say you need to think more positively, it's not a woo-woo thing, it's not magical. It is literally the law of attraction. It's literally how your brain works, because we've taken so much information and there's only so much you can on a conscious level see. So the brain will basically filter out anything you're not focused on, and anything that you're thinking about, it will gravitate more towards that. So yeah, I absolutely believe it 100%.
I almost like, I'm going to do that. And it works. It's just because it's this constant positive, like you're saying, affirmation inside of your brain, and your brain's going, yeah, yeah, and I thought it was amazing. And, because usually you hear people say something like, well, I ignore this, but that was when you're saying how long how have what's the secret to long marriage, but his was so different, and I thought that was impactful because it's all about what you say to yourself, whether it's you're talking about a spouse, you're talking about, am I smart enough to go to school and get a degree? Am I smart enough to apply for that job? You know, my brother has just recently applied, got a job, and he had called him. He wanted it. It was something that was really just amazing for him. And he picked apart his whole interview process. And I told him, why are you doing that? That's just putting that, negativity, you're rolling this around in your head, and then it's going to manifest itself. And he got the job, but it's just, why do humans do that? Why do we look back and say, and start picking apart all the things that we do?
I think it depends on the human, really. We seem to be programmed to, or we've learned to really criticize ourselves. And I think in this world now, it's even more to the point where we compare, because we've got Instagram, you've got Facebook, you've got TikTok. You can compare yourself to anybody in the world, anywhere in the world. And it's that comparison that causes us to then pick at our own things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not good for anybody. I think comparison is one of the biggest goal killers for a start, the biggest dream killers, because if you compare yourself to everybody else, you create so much fear and so much self-doubt that you don't continue. And you think, now I'll leave it to them because they're better at it than me, not realizing that these people that we compare ourselves to are probably feeling the same way, or probably look to other people and feel the same way. So yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why.
And when I was working on my dissertation on women business owners, our research and then prior research, so we were looking at other research that was already done, literature reviews, and we found that women tend to have lower self-confidence or self-efficacy and a higher sense of fear in business than their male counterparts. What would you think might cause that? And if you were coaching somebody on getting over that, what would that look like?
So I'm not actually sure why it is. I don't know whether it's over the centuries of, men are stronger than women, and
Mm-hmm.
this whole inferiority thing. And just, nowadays we're addressing that finally.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know whether it's just been from centuries of that passed down through generations that has caused it. And how would I help someone through that? Well, the main thing is really building up self-esteem. It's building up that confidence. It's almost like having to fix the things that we've learned from a young age. Like women,
Mm-hmm.
we have to be careful when we're walking out at night time, or going anywhere alone, or being in a new city. These things are programmed from a very young age into us. I've spoken to men who are like, what do you mean? Like, you can't walk alone at night in the dark? It's alien to them. So it's these programs that we have that we need to change. So in order to change them, it's about changing that inner story, affirming more positive things, and becoming more confident in yourself. I think when you can do that and you have that inner confidence, that's when you become more fearless.
I love that, and I think I agree with you 100%. I think it's how we're programmed, and it usually starts to shift about 11, so which is puberty. And I think going back to what you said about how we compare ourselves to, what society says that we need to look like or um, dress like, and
Yeah.
and how that affects the mental health or mindset.
Yeah, like from a young age, I used to read Cosmopolitan actually, and I
Mm,
remember looking at, I think it was Beyonce or Catherine Zeta-Jones was in one of them. I remember I used to flick through, I used to love her. And I remember seeing her skin and thinking, oh my God, her skin is just perfect. Right. It
mhm,
must have been about 12 and I'd just broken out everywhere.
mhm.
And I was really down on myself. I felt ugly, I felt dirty. I wasn't. And I used to scrub and scrub and scrub my face to the point where it was painful. And the funny thing is, now when I look back, I realized that that was airbrushing because I didn't know that existed. I genuinely thought that that was how these celebrity skins looked. And even with their bodies as well, I used to starve myself and I used to think I was fat all the time because I'm seeing all these, not realizing, because I was quite naive when I was a kid, that it was all fake. It was all computerized. It was all edited and smoothed out or slimmed down. And that all filters in and it makes you perceive this woman is the perfect woman that everybody's going to love. And she's successful and she's confident. And in order to be that way, I have to look that way. It's all going into your subconscious
Mhm.
at an age. And yeah, it's about repairing that or changing that now. We're having to fix all the stuff that's happened when we're kids. But once you do, it makes a big difference.
When you started your journey, what was maybe the one or two of the biggest ahas for you? Like, wow, that makes sense to me. What were some of those when you first started your journey?
So I'd always known about positivity and I kind of understood a lot about the subconscious. So for me, the biggest wow moment was actually when I published my book. And I had someone message me and just say, thank you. That really resonated. And I'm so glad that there's someone else out there who feels the same way I do. The aha or the wow moment for me was I did that. I actually did what I set out to do because it was probably one of the first times, if not the only time, I have said that I'm going to do something and seen it through to the end. And what it made me realize was that I can do this. Like I did this myself. I never went to uni and
Mhm.
I never used to think I was smart enough. I never really enjoyed English that much. I never said I was going to write a book. I did it. I even told my friends who, believe it or not, didn't believe me. And when my friend read a bit of it, she actually laughed and she went, "This is actually good. I didn't expect it to be." So the aha moment was, I did that. So then what happened was it changed my complete mindset. And I thought, what else can I do? So, for any women out there, or anybody out there who is maybe struggling with that or working towards something they haven't quite got there yet, just keep going. Because, see, once you do and you hit that end goal that you set out to achieve, it not only means that you've achieved that, it opens up so many other doors because your mind is now open and your mind is like, whoa, I can do this. So, you've literally changed your I can't belief to I can. And that's when you start to do more. So, that was probably the biggest one for me.
Oh, that's I love that, and I love that your friend said, "It's really good." I think that, friends, friends are like family. Sometimes, they still see us as, kinda I know what my family does, when we were goofy kids, here
Yeah.
we are later in life, and they still our siblings still see us sometimes as goofy kids. Um, let's talk about your book.
Sure.
Um, so it's a New York selling book, and I got the title correctly, 100 Days of Positivity, Hope, and Growth.
Yeah. That's this one right here.
Oh,
Maybe.
look, I
Yeah.
lo- I love that it has the word hope in it.
Thank you.
So tell us, because positivity, whichever like you said, everybody knows about, but I think, like we were talking about in the beginning of the podcast, you and I were talking about that there was a point in our lives when we felt like we had no hope.
Yeah,
And I think hope is important for people.
absolutely. Hope is what keeps you going, having that hope there and trusting that things will work out is really powerful. And on the days where nothing around you is working out and where your day is just as bad as as bad as it could get, hope is the thing that will pull you through. So it was really important that I put that on there. I'm glad that you pointed it out, actually. It's because there were moments in my life where I just thought, this is never going to end. I'm always going to be here. And I don't know how to get out of this dark place or this emotional low. And it was the hope for something better, the hope that I would get to where I wanted to be, the hope that I would finish writing this book. That was what carried me through those days. And I hope to inspire people and, remind them to be hopeful as well, because I was at this point that some people might be going through right now. And I share a lot of those experiences that I've had in there with my readers so that they can really resonate and understand that they're not alone in this and that someone else has gone through it as well.
And there's light at the end of the tunnel,
Yes.
And I sometimes think, when you're walking through your journey, whether it's self-discovery or it's educational or professional, whatever journey you're walking through, sometimes we fall down.
Yeah.
That's okay. And I don't
Yeah,
think people see that. As long as you get up and keep going, it's okay.
absolutely. That
We
is,
go ahead.
sorry. No, that is basically what the message is, and I think we need more of that. We need more people to say, hey, you know what? I know that it's tough and it's not always going to be plain sailing and you're not always going to get everything you want, but that doesn't mean that you're not good enough or you're not doing well enough or that you have to give up. And that's what these are here for. These are for those days when you're like, hey, here you go. Like, if you can prepare for those days in the sense that you accept that you will get them from time to time, then they're a lot easier to manage because it's not as shocking. Because the first time it happened to me, in fact, what inspired these books, and I still remember this night when I wrote the first 5 pages, I was doing amazing. I was, I'd come out of this, I had a job and I'd over my ex and I was moving on, I was feeling great. And then boom, I just had one day where I was full of anxiety, really worried about something. And I was so mad at myself for being so negative. And that's when it hit me. I was like, people need to know that this journey isn't always going to be up and you're going to get down days, but it doesn't mean that you give up or you've undone everything that you've done in the last few months. It just means that you've had an off day. Pick yourself back up and keep going and stay consistent with it. So, yeah.
I love that because I think that gives people the freedom to be not perfect.
Yeah. Perfect doesn't exist.
The
But
perfect
actually,
doesn't exist.
it's funny. I actually have that in my book. There's a part in it where I talk about perfection and how, there's no point in being that way because perfect to every person is different. So you can never be perfect to everyone. And we're trying to please everybody. But why? Because what you might think is perfect might be different from me. So do we become chameleons and just adapt to everybody? Or is it much easier to just be yourself?
I think it's just easier to be yourself. I think one of the most enlightening things for me was, as you get older, you don't care as much what people think about you. You're the, okay, maybe I'm not a size 3. Maybe who cares? Or maybe I'm not whatever people want to be, but that we worry about when we're young. You get to the older and it's like, who cares? And somebody said something to my daughter once, my youngest, when she was, I don't know, early 20s. And she has this beautiful white skin. And, because I part Irish. Her dad's part Irish. So she has this really beautiful white skin. And she was coming out of a home improvement store, and someone said to her, these two guys, but one of them said to her, you know, you would be good looking if you had a tan. And she was so upset, and so she cried, and then she didn't want to wear pants, or I mean, she didn't want to wear dresses or shorts anymore. She just wanted to wear pants to hide this, who that's part of who she is. And I remember telling her, who cares what they think? It means it's nothing. It means nothing. And it took her, you know, she's 35 years old now, and it took her years to get over such an insensitive comment. And her self-esteem was wrapped up in this one comment. And it's like, who cares? I don't care. Don't like it, don't look at it, you know?
Yeah.
But my grandmother used to say, you can't put old head on young shoulders.
Yeah.
So it's freeing to as you get older.
Absolutely. I actually think my 20s, as fun as they were and as drunken as they were, emotionally they were not fun. Whereas when I got to my 30s and I was more secure in myself and just more chill about things, that's when life got easier. So I understand that when people say, oh, my best years were my 30s, because it's not about where you are in life, it's more about where you are in here. And I think a lot of us grow up and we have so many experiences that we have to grow up, that then we realize what matters and what doesn't. So yeah,
comments like that don't matter.
oh my God, no, like, don't get me wrong, comments like that used to really upset me. I remember I was so insecure when I was younger. I used to have lots of makeup on. I used to wear fake lashes because I was so insecure about my eyes and just my whole face. And someone posted a comment when my friend tagged me in a makeupless look. And it wasn't even a comment. It was like a paragraph about how I was deceiving people because I was so ugly. And and you know what? Like, I still remember it. I remember the feeling. Like, I'm over it now and I'm very happy with who I am. But it was a really harsh thing. And it stuck with me for a couple of years. So I completely understand where your daughter's coming from. But once you get out of it, you're like, oh my God, that guy was a loser.
I think you're beautiful. I don't know. You know, people hide behind, you know, the internet and think it's okay to say, you know, horrible things to people that are inappropriate and untruthful just for the sake of being a nasty person.
Yeah. But hurt people hurt people. So now whenever I get that, I tend to feel sorry for them. I'm like, I feel really sorry for you that you need to hurt someone else because you must really hate yourself in order to do that. And then, you know, when you get into that mindset, it really doesn't matter what people think or what people say about you because you genuinely don't care. And I think so long as you're happy with who you are, then that's the main thing. If you're happy with who you are, you won't care. If you're not happy with who you are and people say something, that's when it hits.
Yeah, I think so too. That's good. Thank you for sharing that. That's good insight. So let's talk before we wrap up. Let's talk about your podcast.
Sure.
The Level Up Mindset. So, you know, tell us about it. Where can we find it? How can we listen?
So the Level Up Mindset is available everywhere. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, just all the main ones. In fact, Buzzsprout is where I host it. So there it will tell you everywhere it's available as well. And it's basically about tips that I share about my own experiences, about the things that I'm going through and what I've learned from them. And also gives you insights like we've spoke about today, things like how to feel better when you're having a bad day, how to get motivation back, you know, how to, you know, look at things when things aren't going your way, how to feel good about it or how to stay positive. So they're just like they're very short. I don't do very long ones because I can't talk for that long without, you know, messing up. So they're usually about 15 minutes or so, but quite like my books in the sense that it's short and sweet, to the point advice that will give you that instant pick me up, that instant comfort. So yeah, the Level Up Mindset is just a wee extension of the books.
You said books.
Yeah, books. Sorry. Have I not told you? Yes.
The only book I was aware of was 100 Days of Positivity, Hope, and Growth. I love that. And you
Okay.
kept saying books, and I'm all books.
Yeah, so actually, I don't know why. I'm so sorry. I also have 100 Days of Healing from Heartbreak.
Ah, I love it.
Thank you. This one is, as the title might suggest, a bit more specific and a bit more niche. And it really holds your hand through the journey of heartbreak. So from the very first time where you're in shock that your relationship has ended, or, you know, whoever you were seeing, things have ended with, all the way to how to accept it, what to do when you feel angry, to realizing and analyzing your relationship and not romanticizing it anymore, has a little bit more on working on yourself, on your standards and your boundaries, all the way to dating. So again, it's in the same format with very short little, you know, little segments there, but they're to really support someone through that, because I know what it's like. Unfortunately, I've had my heart broken more than one time, and I've got enough experience to give advice on it and help people through and give them that hope that things will get better.
I love that. So they can find your books on Amazon.
Amazon, yes. The second one, so the Healing from Heartbreak one, is just on Amazon. And this one here, the first one, is actually available in Barnes and Noble as well as Walmart online. So yeah, you can get them there too. But Amazon, everybody's got Amazon now, don't they? They've got Prime, so that's probably the easiest place to get them from.
Well, I want to say thank you for coming on, and we're going to share with our audience how to get a hold of you, as far as your books, you know, your books, and if you have a website, and of course your podcast, the Leveling Up Mindset. So we'll make everybody gets that information so they can. But you guys, you got to get these books: 100 Days of Positivity, Hope, and Growth, and 100 Days
Of
to
Healing from Heartbreak.
Healing from Heartbreak, you guys.
Perfect. Not getting over it, just healing so that you're at the point where you realize you are still a badass.
I love that. Okay. Thank you
Thanks
for
so much
coming.
for having me. Thank you for having me. Speak to you soon.